Hello. You are listening to the Grieving Parents Sharing Hope podcast. We are here to walk with parents on their unwanted journey of child loss, guiding them to a place of hope, light, and purpose, not in spite of their child's death, but as a way to honor his or her life. And now, here is your host, author, speaker, and bereaved parent, Diehl.
Hi. As always, thank you for taking the time to join me today. That 1 year mark, it can feel especially heavy. It's an anniversary date that no parent ever wants to face. And the reason I'm thinking about this right now is because the week this comes out, it's the anniversary of our Becca's death, her transition on October 12th. I still never know from 1 year to the next how hard it's going to hit me. Some years I do okay. Other years it's a bit of a struggle. And occasionally there can still be a year where it's just hard to function and I can't really do much of anything. Now, I don't say that to discourage you, but to encourage you that some years will be okay. But that first one is usually pretty brutal. Now, before I share my heart and my thoughts with you on how to get through it, and maybe not even just the first year, but every year, all the years following, I know that might take your breath away. It sure did me at the beginning. But let me just say that quite often, the weeks and the days leading up to it are worse than the actual day, believe it or not, because our mind is constantly thinking of all the last times. The last time we talked to them on the phone, or the last time we went out for supper as a family, the last time we took a picture together, the last time we went to the park, the last time I gave them a hug. And those last time memories are so stabbing painful that we don't think we can make it through that last day they were here. But you can. So let's talk about some of the things that might help you. First of all, release yourself from the pressure of other people's expectations of you, especially those who think you should be starting to get better by now, or those who think, why would you want to do something on their death date? They just don't understand it. And I mean, really, can you blame them? Because I sure didn't understand it until I lost a child. Or those who think you should be starting to get better by now. Shouldn't you be getting past this? For some reason, people seem to think that the 1 year mark is some magic time frame number, but grief just does not work that way. All that means is that you have somehow barely survived the first 365 days without your child. I know, another something that can take your breath away, right? And that's huge because you probably didn't think you could survive this year, did you? And if many of us are being honest, we didn't want to survive this first year. We don't want to survive anymore at all. I also want you to give yourself permission to feel whatever you feel. There's no right way to mark or to go through this day. Some bereavers want to be alone. Others want to gather with family and friends. Some cry all day. Others find themselves totally numb. I mean, we still feel like it didn't really happen, right? It can be a combination of all of that. However your grief shows up, it's okay for you. As long as you're not harming yourself, it's okay. Now, this leads me to the next thing I want to share with you, which is to find a meaningful way to honor your child and a meaningful way to get through that day. I recently asked in our private GPS Hope Facebook page what they did for that 1 year mark or to get through that year. So I'm going to read some of these to you. Katie says, since our boy was stillborn, he only gets the one date. So I focused on doing a birthday party for him as his day came up. Melanie says, my son's close friends organized a meal at our house. They brought everything and came over to hang out. They told stories about him and shared their post-graduation plans from law school. Now, I'll just put a side note on this. You can make your own plans like that. Sometimes we feel like other people should be remembering this day. And the thing is, you are the mom, you are the dad, you are going to be the one who remembers this date. And you may be disappointed at the people around you who don't remember the exact date. They may remember kind of the time frame of year. They may not remember the date. They may not be sending you cards or sending you texts or calling you or offering to put this meal thing together and get together. It's okay if that happens. But it's also okay for you to invite people over and say, hey, this is a rough day. I want everybody to help me get through it. Can you come over, bring some food, and we're just going to share some memories. Some people that may be, I could never do that. Some of you may be thinking, oh, that's perfect. So like I said, whatever works for you. Let's keep going here. Tangy says, I lost my son with multiple disabilities a year ago. I visited his grave and put butterflies that light up at night. We also ordered butterflies and let them go. Now, this is a friend of mine who's local, and she had several things that she did. I'll read you a few of them here. I wrote a letter to my son Max's organ recipients for his first birthday. I did a balloon release, and I had requested a fire truck and ambulance to come by and do a final send-off because Max loved fire trucks, and we called the ambulance a lot for Max. Now, Max was born with a lot of disabilities. He died when he was 9 years old, and there were just a lot of complications in his short life. So she says the ambulance got called out on a call at the last minute, but the fire truck came. That part was a surprise to everyone. So she'd had a bunch of people together and had this kind of fun thing, just kind of as a remembrance of a special, very special, right? Remembrance of Max. Lori says, we celebrate together with family and friends at Sutliff, which is the last place we saw Bailey on the night before he passed away. We had the last meal with him, the last hug, and the last I love you. It also holds a special place in our heart as he loved fishing by the Sutliff Bridge while growing up. We also do a balloon release. Now, here's another thought that you could just branch off of that. Go to your child's favorite restaurant, or maybe have a picnic. If they loved fishing, go to their fishing spot and have a picnic and remember your child. Donna says, I made lunch for the youth center that my son volunteered at. They have a lunch program for high school students every Wednesday during the school year. I have volunteered since it started and will continue as long as I can in memory of him. Lorraine says, I colored so much, journaled, started doing the diamond dot craze, which I loved. Tracy said, I prayed. Yes. And Marianne said, since my son loved orchids, I bought him several with the promise that I will learn all about orchids in his memory. I love that. There's something about that. Maybe something that your child really enjoyed that you didn't fully understand, and begin to study it out yourself and just bring it into your life. Now, I know I'm going to add in here again, jump in here, that I know some of these things feel like that would just be too painful. Well, hang on to these things, because 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you may decide, I think I want to do that. I need to bring that into my life. I know at the beginning, those memories are stabbing pains, but eventually those memories are going to soften, and they're going to begin to warm your heart, and they're going to bring smiles and laughter as you remember your child. But I know, not right now, that first year or two, right? Linda said, I tried to do the stuff I normally did before. She tried to make it a normal day, right? Some of us, that's what we need to do. We just separate ourselves from it and we just live that day. Just do what we normally do and try to put it behind us, or not behind us. And we try to just not focus on that. Now, I happen to know Linda. She's another one that's local for us and a friend of ours. And I know for them, this stretched out because their son, Lucas, was in a car accident, and it was one of those where he was on machines for a lengthy period of time, and they had to make the decision to pull him off of the machinery. So for her, when you look back a year, it's a stretched period, and I know that's true for several of you. Chris Ann says, for my first son, Luke's 1 year, his siblings and I went to the trails that he would hike. We made a memorial, let out butterflies, and then went to my daughter's house and made a bonfire and lit up Chinese lanterns up to the heavens with prayers to Luke. So I mean, they did a lot of stuff. They just made a great big day of it. Now, she lost a second son, which was just a year ago, a little over a year ago now. And she said for that, we had a big river trip on one of his favorite rivers he grew up on. Blanca says, the 1-year mark was hard, even as we tried to prepare emotionally. Good friends took us away for the weekend, which helped to be surrounded by loving friends. After the 1 year, however, things were a bit easier. It's all the firsts that were particularly hard. Here's another idea. Some of you may have already thought of this. I just can't be around. I just need to totally leave. Get out of Dodge, right? Get out of here. And so that might be an option for you, whether it's for the day, for 3 days, whatever it is. Now, what Blanca just shared happens to lead me to the next thing that I want to encourage you to do, and that is to lean into safe support. Reach out to those who truly understand and won't minimize your pain. Whether it's another bereaved parent, maybe it's someone who has faced a deep loss themselves, and so they are full of compassion and love and will sit with you. A trusted friend that I know here for a lot of us, some of those we thought were very close friends have just disappeared on us, and it's very painful. But you may have had someone who has come to the forefront. It may have been a coworker that you really didn't know that well. Whoever it is, it might be your faith community, but it helps not to carry the weight alone. Now, I have to say, I was humbled when I asked that question in the Facebook group. A couple of them said that they listened to several of my podcast episodes, or they would listen to those over and over again while they were going on walks in the car, whenever. So I can be one of those trusted friends for you if that's what you need. Let me just say, you can send me an email. I don't give out my phone number. I think you can understand why, because we reach thousands of people through the podcast. And I can't answer all these phone calls night and day, but I do personally reply to all the emails I receive from bereavers. And I love to hear about your children. I love to get pictures of your children. So if you need to, I'm coming up on the 1 year mark. Pray for me. Tell me about your child. My email address is just laura@gpshope.org, and I will add that in the show notes. For those of you in the first or second year, I want to take a little detour here because I feel like it's important to share something with you that you probably need to know. Now, we did hear one of them say a minute ago, I read that she said the first year was horrible, but it did start getting better after that. I want to tell you that I've heard from other bereaved parents over the years, a lot of other bereaved parents, that I discovered I was not the only one who struggled even more in the second year than the first one. There's no pattern. They talk about the 5 stages of grief. That's nonsense. That was written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and she wrote it in a book for those who are terminally ill. You go through 5 stages of grief as you are dying. And for some reason that got turned into 5 stages of grief, grieving someone who has died. It's a tangled mess of a ball. It's a roller coaster. There is no stages of grief. I have a friend, Mitch, who calls it more like steps. And you may go up 2 steps and then go down 3 steps. And you may go up 1 step, up 2 steps, and down 1 step. It's just all over the place. So there's no pattern to follow, but there does seem to be kind of an underlying generic time frame that a lot of us bereavers tend to fall into. Now, I don't want to scare you if you're in this first year to tell you the second year is going to be worse. Let me put some parameters around this, okay? For me, the first year, it's a painful fog. It's full of numbness, confusion, pain, disbelief. It's like our head knows what happened, but our heart just we can't take it in. We can't believe it. And all of these firsts hit us hard, the holidays, all of these things. So I thought that the second year would be easier because I'd already gone through everything once. And as bereavers just starting out on this horrific journey, We don't think it's even possible to say that the second year could be worse. But let me say it's a different pain. And maybe I shouldn't say it's worse, but it's a different pain. Because, let me just say, I hope that's not the case for you, but I do want to be upfront and honest that it's a possibility. And if that happens, you're not going crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. So why does that happen to so many of us? Like I said, for me, I braced myself for all those firsts. Plus, I was still in that fog of trying to figure out if this really had happened. And so the second year kind of caught me off guard as that fogginess began to lift. In round 2 of all those yearly events, didn't have the blessing now of that numbness to block the full depth of the pain. So when the initial shock finally wore off, it kind of caused the weight of my loss to hit me full force, with a heaviness and a darkness that left me wondering if I would ever get through it. And I remember thinking how desperately I wanted the pain to end, afraid that it never would. How can this feel worse than it did the first year? And so, like I said, I don't want to scare you, because I know you think, I can't even breathe right now. How can this get worse? And instead of thinking of it as worse, just think of it as a different pain. I think maybe the pain is in our head and now the pain is in our heart. I don't know how to explain it. I don't. And like I said, I'm praying, Lord, don't let the listeners go through that. But if you do, if you feel this way, just know you are not alone. Many of us went through that second year that we thought would get easier, and it did not. Let's just say it that way. We thought the second year would get easier, and it did not. So the third year for many of us became more livable. We're starting to accept the finality and the painful fact that our child's not going to be with us at any of these yearly events. We start resigning ourselves to the fact that no matter how much it hurts, we must figure out who we are without our child. Some of us even begin to see glimmers of hope that we can still have joy and happiness in the life that we are living with those who are still here, those we love and those who love us. That, to me, is the biggest thing. I know I had my other children, 4 other children. I had 2 grandchildren. One of them was Becca's daughter, my husband, my ministry, international ministry. I love to travel. I had all of these things, but I didn't want to be here anymore. And so it takes a while to get to the point where you can kind of clear, where God begins to clear out the darkness. You begin to see the light, and you begin to see and feel the love that is still there. And you begin to gravitate and hold on to those you love who are still here, instead of so desperately wanting to be with the one who's gone. Now, after saying all of that, I also want to emphasize that we are all on our own individual journey. Now, unfortunately, there are parents who remain in that second year level for quite a long time. And I believe some of that is a choice, because it's not time that heals our pain. It is what we do with our time. And we have to work through the grief. And there are parents who take many more years to get to the place of painful acceptance. And painful acceptance is necessary to be able to start rebuilding your life in a way that brings peace and joy and love and laughter back into your life. For instance, I personally know someone who waited over 4 years before they could even bring themselves to have a tombstone made for their child's grave. I know someone else who stayed in this dark, dark place for 10 years. And when she finally came out of it, she had so many regrets, because she had basically missed the growing up of all of her other children, because she just hung out in that darkness and despair and hopelessness for 10 years, and then had to look back and, let the Lord help her heal her heart of all these regrets of missing her other children growing up, because she just wasn't functioning. Now, let me say this again, because it is so important. No one is on the same timetable of grieving the death of their child, of your child. So don't look to any dates to compare yourself with where others are in their grieving process and use it as some sort of a timeline to force on yourself. We are all on our own individual timeline, and we need to go through the process at our own speed. And like I said, there are some patterns, for lack of a better word, that some of us seem to fall into, but don't expect yourself to fit into that. Right now, just take a few minutes to release yourself from any shame or guilt you may have put on yourself or have allowed others to put on you. Lord, release them now in the name of Jesus, that you aren't as far along in the grieving process that you think you should be. I know I fought with that. I thought I should be further than I was. Give yourself grace to walk your own necessary path. As long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, as long as you're taking the next breath, taking each day as it comes, and you're leaning into God, you will get there. So are you interested in what I did for the 1 year mark for Becca? Well, I knew that I wanted to be sensitive to the fact that everyone grieves differently. Everyone in our family was grieving differently. Some of the family wanted to get together and celebrate her life, and others didn't want anything to do with that. And I was torn. And to be honest, I don't even remember what ended up happening that first year for the anniversary of her death. It put me in tears. I wish I did. I just don't. I was so numb. I don't even remember that first year, what we ended up doing. And I have to be okay with that. Obviously, I'm coming up to that date, and it's hitting me hard as I talk to you. So whatever you do or don't do, the last thing I want to share with you is for you to remember that your grief is also love. The reason the anniversary hurts so deeply is because your love for your child is so deep. That love will never fade, and it's okay to let your tears and memories reflect that love. Have you gotten your copy of my newly released book, The Bible's Grieving Parents, Finding Comfort, Hope, and Faith from Their Stories? I am really excited about this. If you haven't gotten it yet, you can get the Kindle version from Amazon, or you can get a PDF copy from our website at gpshope.org. I'll put a link to both of those in the show notes. Now, here's the thing that has Dave and I both a bit baffled. I personally have gotten quite a bit of positive, really good feedback. People are letting me know they love this book. But at the time that I'm recording this, only one person has gone on to Amazon to give it a rating or a review, which makes it look like either no one's getting the book, which isn't the case, or it makes it look like that readers don't care for it enough to take the time to let others know it's worth reading. And that doesn't seem to be the case either, which is why Dave and I are baffled. I think all of us, when we go to get something on Amazon or wherever, we look at the reviews. We want to know what other people think about it. And so if you have the book and you believe other bereavers would be blessed by it, would you please take 60 to 90 seconds? That's all it takes to let other bereavers know. Now, you don't have to have purchased the book from Amazon to leave a review. I'm going to put what is called a clean link to the book, which means it can't be traced back to you as a purchaser. So it doesn't matter whether you purchase the book or not, your review will be put on there. And you can join those of us who are being Grieving Parents Sharing Hope in this very easy way by letting others know this is a book you need to get. Now, if you're afraid you're going to forget by the end of this podcast, because we all know how real grief fog is, you can pause this right now, click on the link in the show notes, and leave a rating and a review. Even if you don't want to leave a review, just hit how many stars you think it deserves, and then come back and finish this out with me. Now, let me just add, if you're going to give it 1, 2, or 3 stars, maybe not. Okay. Yeah, I do want your honesty. So with that being said, Let's go ahead with this week's birthday segment. Jeffrey Dunkelman was born on October 10th and left us at age 53. James Fielding was born on October 10th and left us at age 28. We celebrate the day these two came into the world. We know it will always be a special day and worth celebrating. If you would like to have your child's birthday added to our birthday segment, I would love to be able to do that for you. Just go to gpshope.org/birthdays. Fill in the information, submit it, and we will share your son or daughter with the other listeners the week of his or her birthday. I want to share 2 Corinthians 4:18 with you. It says, "So we do not look at what we can see right now, the troubles all around us, but we look forward to the joys in heaven, which we have not seen. The troubles will soon be over, but the joys to come will last forever." I love that scripture. I love that promise. That is something we need to hold on to, right? I do want to remind you, there is no right or wrong way to move through that first year anniversary day or any anniversary date of our child's homegoing. However you find yourself, whether in tears, in memories, in silence, or maybe even a smile or a laugh, it's all part of the love and the grief you continue to carry together. The anniversary of our child's death is also the day of what some call their heavenly birthday, which is, like I said at the beginning, this week for Becca on October 12th. This entrance into heaven for her meant a new body with both legs, since her left leg was amputated because of bone cancer when she was only 3 years old. And instead of her earthly limitations and suffering with a damaged heart due to the long-term effects of the chemo she had, Becca now has a heart that is perfect and it's strong. Now, she did not get someone else's used heart in a transplant that she so desperately needed here on earth. She got a brand new one that will never go bad on her again. Painful grieving? Yes. But without hope? No. So with that, on this day each year, on the 12th of October, I make sure at some point to celebrate with her and say, "Happy heavenly birthday, Becca." So whenever that day is for you, remember to hold on. Pain eases. There is hope.